Hi guys, finally I found time to test mods for WRC Generations and the first Dirt Rally. There's been a lot of talk lately about modified physics in Generations, and you guys have written to me about it in the comments, so I found time for this, spent $1 and installed modified physics from a modder named Ricky. Briefly about my first impressions. This is very cool. I thought, after the first try, the car's behavior really began to resemble the behavior of a real car. Rally cars began to behave more realistically when skidding, going through hairpins, the braking distance increased, and even suspension began to behave more acceptably. But the more time I spent in this game, the more the game showed its weaknesses. Funny, made-up sounds are just everywhere. I use bonnet camera, so I don't hear most of these ridiculous sounds from the cockpit. External sounds are not that bad, but over time they also begin to distract attention from the process. The sounds of the interaction with the road environment are just unimaginable. And the sound of the landing after a jump, like... Plus, I remembered what time killer this game is. 1.5 minutes. That's how long it takes to load a new stage. And if you try 15 different cars at 15 different stages during a session, it feels like you're waiting more than you're driving. You can't even just exit this game, you also have to wait 1.5 minutes. But who cares about all this when it comes to realistic physics, right? And I've heard opinions that modified physics in this game are no worse than the physics in RBR. Whoa, really? I must admit that these words were the trigger for me to finally try this mod. But after trying almost all 19 modified cars, which exactly how many are them listed in the log file of this mod, I will say this. Sorry guys, not even close. I don't get any pleasure from being boss killer. But let's be a little realistic here. This mod brings life back to this game, 100%. This mod makes Generations much more enjoyable, 200%. Can this mod be compared to RBR physics? Yes, but this mod loses in all aspects. Cars stick to the road surface as if there was a magnetic strip underneath the road. And what does this mod from Ricky do? This mod simply gives cars more freedom. Yes, you get a sense of realism in contrast to the original physics, but it's like you drove a regular car into a superhero universe. The very fact that your car has become a little more like a real one doesn't change this unreal universe, unfortunately. Who is really gonna like this mod? If you're already a fan of this game, you will get even more enjoyment. For people who are looking for realism in rally games, I will not recommend this mod. There is too much left unmodified here to come close to the experience of driving in RBR. Another mod I was really looking forward to trying: alternative physics for all cars of Dirt Rally. And on this account people wrote that with this mod there is even more realism than in Richensburg's Rally. This is a pinnacle of rally simulation, but it's dead end because there is too little content in this game. Are you intrigued? I was more than. And installing this mod is even easier, just copy and paste CTF files into the game folder. But there is a nuance here. For tarmac stages you will need to replace these files. This is described in detail in the file installation and summary. Links to the both mods will be in description, by the way. So, after I installed this mod, that's when I felt how far I was from the goal using mod for Generations. But here it's necessary to say right away, Dirt Rally is very successful simcade itself. And what can I say about this mod? It's awesome experience. This is how I felt after trying the gravel version of this mod. The car truly began to feel more realistic, the braking distance here also increased, and passing through hairpins began to resemble physics in RBR. Like in RBR, it's often easy to make mistakes and lose time. You need to correctly calculate the right moment to press the handbrake and speed of the car. I tried a few cars, a few stages, and in combination with good sound, Dirt Rally with this mode is really a step away from simcade towards simulation, without any doubt. But I'm forced to become bus killer again. I can't help but say what I really think. Sorry guys. Unfortunately, there is downsides to both this mode and the game itself, which in my opinion don't bring this experience close enough to what we experience in RBR. Firstly, this mode seriously messes with your force feedback settings, especially on loose surfaces, gravel and snow. I spent a lot of time choosing the settings to get acceptable feedback on gravel, and I found them. But here's what happened when I replaced the files with tarmac ones. This is also easy to fix in settings, so it's turned out for different surfaces you will need not only different files in the root folder, but also different force feedback and linearity settings. But the main problem is the physical core of this game. Yes, you can improve the car's behavior, and it really works, but you can't change the core of the game itself. Now I'm gonna try to explain what is wrong with this in Dirt Rally and its sequels. In my opinion, the problem is in the car's movement in a straight line. In RBR you can just drive straight when the road requires it, just like in real life. But the physics of the core of Dirt Rally games are designed in such a way that the cars here like on the tin rope, and it must constantly lean either to one side or another. The cars always tend to skid. You always have the feeling like you are throwing and catching the car, throwing and catching it throughout the stage, again and again. And in general, this is quite logical. This is rally, right? This particular physics feature is perfect for it. In this series of games, you get the most pleasure from going sideways, and it's definitely a good thing. But in real life, you always have a choice, and each pilot has his own driving style. Colin McRae really liked to take corners by putting the car sideways, and it looked very impressive. But Sebastian Loeb, for example, chose different tactic. After all, when you go sideways through the most of the turns, you lose more time. And Dirt Rally has this Colin McRae's physics feature, which is one of the possible variations of realism, but not realism itself. Besides, I don't like POV of the bonnet camera here. Speed doesn't feel real this way. I can go on listing various nuances for a long time, but the point is that this mode doesn't make Dirt Rally the new RBR. RBR gives the most realistic experience today. Second place for realism, perhaps, can be given to BeamNG Drive, but this is not a rally game, and there is no real rally cars. It's a huge bummer. And here, in third place, is Dirt Rally with this mode. For fans of Dirt Rally series, I definitely can recommend this mode. This is a great improvement toward realism. I'm glad that I finally tried these modes. It was very interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm talking about rally and rally games here all the time. Take care and have a good stage.